I'm going to share how you can start a story and get you through the point where you're able to put the basic information into the story. So it's nice to start with just a basic outline that kind of prompts you for the information you need. For this particular story, we're going to try to research Raymond Hoback from Virginia. So I would start in Ancestry.com. I would do a search, all collections. I would put his name in here. Raymond is his first name. If it was a common name, I might want to add a middle name or initial. Last name, Hoback. Place where he lived, we know he was from Virginia. And I know he was born in 1920, so I'll put that down. I'm going to press exact so that it would limit it to just people born in that year. Hoback is not that common, but if it was a common name, that would help you narrow it down. I press search. Now we're lucky here because the very first one is someone that's in a family tree, so that's going to have a lot of detail all on one page. I'm pretty sure this is the person we're looking for. He was born in 1920, and he was in Virginia, and we know he died in World War II. Died on June 6, 1944, so that was D-Day. I click here. We know he was born 21st of January. We now know where he was born, and we also know where he died, and we know where he's buried. All that information is here on this page right there. So we can go to this page, start filling that information out. Raymond Hoback was born on January 21st, 1920 in Bedford County, Virginia. His parents, John and Macy, were also born. It's kind of assuming that they were born in the same state the way it's written. We don't know that yet, but we can find out where his parents were born, where his father worked, and how many brothers and sisters he had. And this is how you do it. You're going to select, we're fortunate enough that we have here census records. So we're going to view the census record on my computer. I'm going to open this into a different tab here by clicking the view record. Record opens up here. It says here his father and his mother were both born in Virginia. So we can fill that out here. Now, what was his father's occupation? We can also find that from census records. We're going to click on to John Hoback. Put that in a different tab. Scroll down to his occupation. He was a farmer. So we'll put down that his father worked as a farmer. So if we wanted to, we could click on 1920 and 1940 and see if his father had different jobs for those different census records. Then we could say he started off as maybe he was a farm laborer, then he was a farmer, maybe he retired by 1940. You could put that full story in there by looking at each census record. So to find out, the next thing we're trying to figure out is how many brothers and sisters Raymond had. That's also here on the census record. Here are the parents. Bedford was his older brother. Mabel and Elsie were older sisters. Here it shows he has 2 younger sisters, but this is the 1930 census. There is a possibility that he could have additional siblings that were born during the 1930s. If we were to click over to the 1940 census, we can double check. And sure enough, here's Cecile, who's not on the 1930 census because she wasn't born for a couple of years. So we now know this information we can put in Raymond's story. So Raymond had 1 older brother, 2 older sisters, and 3 younger sisters. And what was Raymond doing in 1940? Well, we can find out from the 1940 census what he was doing. This is his dad's record for the 1940 census, but if we click on Raymond, 19-year-old at that time, says he was a laborer and he'd completed 6 years of education. Looks like he was in government work, so maybe he was doing not just farm labor, but maybe he was doing some laboring for maybe this CCC or some other service that was related to the government. So we can go here and we can fill out what he's doing. By 1940, Raymond had completed 6 years of education and was working as a laborer. He was still living with his parents. Okay, as far as his enlisting information, right here is his U.S. World War II Army enlisting records. So I can click onto that. It says right here he enlisted on February 3rd, 1941 into the infantry. And he actually enlisted through the National Guard. So he was a National Guard soldier in Virginia, and it was federalized to become part of the Army. So it even shows how tall he was and how much he weighed if you wanted to include that information in your story about Raymond. So I'm going to put he enlisted on February 1941. Okay. We know he died on June 6th, 1944, and we know where his grave is at. It's at the Normandy American Memorial and Cemetery in Colville-sur-Mer, France. Okay, so that's all the basic information. It's going to take a little more research to find out more about him. One other link that's very useful to have right up front would be his Find a Grave page. So we're going to view that, view the record. Here's the actual URL right there. So this has a lot of the information you already have. And if we wanted to, we've got pictures here of his photo. We also have here of a plaque that is there at the memorial. We could add that to his story page. Something else that's useful to find on the Find a Grave page is we'll have information about when his siblings died. When you look here, you'll sometimes find that he had another sibling that also died in World War II, which actually happened to his older brother Bedford, who also died in 1944. So although we're writing about Raymond in this case, in the story we could make mention that his brother Bedford had died in World War II. So anyway, that's what it takes to write the basic information. As you can see, it doesn't take a lot of time. That gives you more time to write the story. I find that after you've done a few of these, you can usually write one of these profiles in 45 minutes. And of course, you're always welcome to take a little more time if you want to dive deep and find more details about who this person is. So that is the video on how to start a story with the basic information. Thank you.